though, directly, head on. This is prudent, very, very prudent. And I think we as custodians, not only legislators, we are custodians of Nigeria's laws. And in a democratic setting, I believe you are also a Democrat. No one can be spared. We cannot continue to sit on seeing fraud going on, shortchanging the commonest Nigerian on the street, taking monies from him for a product that he has not consumed, overstretching them. Even with the economic situation, stress in the economic situations, you are still going down to push our consumers, who are our people, to the wall to be paying apparently for what they don't consume. Look at Honorable Shefo, which should be a comfort zone. I should have access to power. Power is not being consistent, and I don't have meter. My SA there, SA administrator, where is my SA, has paid for my meter. I have not been supplied. Apple Zone A, house number 20, Dennis Osadebe Street. I have no meter. So I want to believe we still need that time, the time I have mentioned when Dr. Joy spoke. We need time certainly to come and sit on a round table. These major stakeholders, let us come and talk to ourselves on a painstakingly robust mind, be candid and nationalistic, so that we can find a final solution. While you are raising issues, for instance, some of you have just finished raising issues about impending payments. No payments are made. Payments are not made as at when due. And the so-called 600 billion naira that was said to have been released to the central bank, 600 billion naira. The Minister of Finance was here under oath. He has confessed that out of the 320 billion already paid to the entitled companies, the balance of this 600 billion naira is lagging in the Central Bank of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He said so under oath, the representative of the minister. And unfortunately, here we are. The CBN governor decided not to be here for us to cross-check this part. Nigeria's money is being tied down under the Apex Bank in the country for a service that has already been consumed, and government has injected that funds to save the faces of these companies, and the money is still lying down. I don't know what the central bank governor is even busy doing with the money that was meant for an intervention to supply power. These are some of the questions we would have expected the central bank governor to be here in person to answer. And we cannot go ahead to take any reasonable action until when such questions are answered. And one thing that we have to make very clear to the central bank governor, no one of us here will be ready to engage any institution under these circumstances in a private setting. We will not engage anyone in any private committee meeting. Everyone has to be here. We have nothing to hide. And we will not engage any agency into any executive meeting to unravel what we want to unravel. We are doing it in the public, and everybody must appear in public here to attest to this committee what he knows about these inquiries we are making. Yes. Very sad. 600 billion naira released as far back as 2017 and 2018. Only 320 billion naira was injected into the system. And the Minister of Finance here now mentioned here clearly that the balance of that 600 billion naira is still lagging in the account of central bank. Why wouldn't we be unhappy about this kind of development? We have availed the opportunity, official opportunity, for this institution to come and explain some of these facts. And this man decided not to come. Where do we get this fact? How do we cross-check our facts? It's so unfortunate. And I don't think this institution can be taken for granted to that extent. We will not allow it. That is why we have allowed members of the public to come and engage with us in an open room. So if anybody wants to think that, we will invite him into a committee room, or we invite him into anywhere else to discuss or engage matters like this, fine, we will not do that. It is called a public investigative public hearing, and we must do that in public. So my brother, I hope you look at some of
the generation costs due to the mixing of generation, whether gas generated, hydro, and so on, those fluctuations, they are passed through. The costs due to foreign exchange, they are passed through. They don't negotiate, they just pass through. And because of that, the system became extremely viable. It's astonishing that 15 years later, Kenya Power and Lighting, they are posting ATC and C losses of 7%. They've even put an optic fiber on the entire grid, to the extent that part of the business viability is that in some areas where it is expensive to supply, the business case for selling bandwidth overrides electricity, so they are able to cross-subsidize between communication and electricity in such a way that every customer becomes viable, because if they don't pay you for light, they're not consuming light, they'll pay you bundles for internet and so on and so on. So the third analogy is Tata. Tata model, we copied everything except a few fundamentals. Number one, Tata on the one when they privatized, they got cost-reflective tariff. Number two, all MDAs were paying. So there was now enough money to meter everybody. In fact, they metered with not even prepaid. They went for basic meters. But the fact that anybody had been metered crashed down the losses. By the time they put a SAP system, which is an automated system for commercialization, today they are 7%. 5 years down the line when they started privatization, they were like 25% ATCRC. We are hedging around 40, 80, 40 before capping and whatever. Had MDA paid and the improvement in the tariff, we should have caught up with the Tata. But we are still talking about this huge car. Let's look at it this way. Yeah? 600 billion plus 701 billion. If the money went to supply meters, the efficiency would have been so high that a tariff increase would have been only 10%. And then we have crossed the bridge. So those are the things, the hard decisions which have to be made. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Then why can we not get it right in Nigeria? And these are 2-3 basic explanations.
Yes.
And these are things we can do with the volumes of money we're injecting into the system, chasing the shadows. We are using this too much money to chase shadows in the system, while we have basic requirements, basic deficiencies to attend to.
Mr. Chairman, if we cannot get the ATC and C loss, we'll
It's
never
sad.
get it right.
It's just sad. It's sad.
We can never get it right.
The clerk of the house, consultants,